Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Do you have my voice? Okay, okay, we talked about the relational database, and, and now I want to talk about the limitation of the relational database. Okay, uh, the relational database is a good database, and for many applications, it is good. But if we have applications that the size of the data is very big and the rate uh, the rate of the transactions are very high, for these applications, their uh, a relational database uh, may be not good sometimes. For example, social networks. Okay, social networks. For example, Facebook. Okay, Facebook is a social network and it has a database. Okay, in Facebook, maybe in every second we have lots of transactions. Many people are sending videos, text, and messages from all over the world. So we have a very high number of transactions. Uh, and uh, so for this type of applications, relational databases have some challenges. For these limitations, one solution is that we can scale the relational database. Okay, we can scale it if the size of the database is very big, and if the number of transactions are very high, we could scale the database. What do we mean by scaling the database? It means we add some hardware, we add some servers to the database so we can answer to these limitations. Yes, thank you. Scalability means expansion. Very good. We add hardware, we add servers. So, for example, we have a site. Okay, we have a website. It has 100 users that are working with our website. And after a time, the website has 1 million users. Okay, in this situation, we should scale our servers. We should have more servers. We should have so we can answer the user requests. If we don't do this, if we, if we don't scale the system, then the system could not answer to the user request and it will crash. Okay, it will crash and it will not answer to the request of the user. Okay, how could we scale the database? How could we scale the database? It has many different methods for scaling the database. Here I want to talk about three different technologies. I want to talk about three different technologies for scaling the database. Memcache servers, replication, and sharding. A Memcache server is a technology which limits the access to the database by caching previous queries. Okay? And replication is a technology which limits the access to the database to the main database by making copies of the database. Okay, let's see this in this figure. Okay, look at this figure. Uh, Here in this figure, it is a very simple system. Okay, it is a very simple system. We have a server for the web server. A web server is for the website. Okay, it gives answer to the user requests. And here is the database server. Okay, so I have a web server and a database server. Single database and single web server. Okay, in this other figure here, the users of our system are very high, and the size and the transactions are high. So we have added some servers. We have 3 web servers, 1, 2, 3, and we have 2 memcache servers, 1, 2, 2 memcache servers, and we have some database servers. Okay, let's talk about each of these. The scalability. You see, this is scalability. In this figure, we have scaled the system. We have added some web servers. We have added some memcache servers here. These are the memcache servers. And this is replication. Okay, let's talk about our example. Our example about the online store. Okay, we have an online store, and the users of our online store is very much. The users have increased. Their the number of users is very high, and the site is not working good. Okay, one of the techniques we can use, we have added some web servers. Okay, we have added some web servers. So here I have 3 web servers. This is not related to memcache server or to the replication. This is just a scaling. Okay, we have added some web servers. The second strategy is the memcache server. Okay, what is the memcache server? For example, okay, when a user enters our online, these are the memcache. I want to explain about the memcache servers right now. When a user wants to buy something from our online store, he enters the site and first he uh, does some search. Okay, enters the site and he starts searching for the products. For example, the user wants to buy a specific laptop, he searches for the laptops. Okay, he's doing some searches. Okay, each of these searches, it is an operation on the database. Okay, it is reading the data from the database. Okay, the memcache servers, what do? They cache the results of these searches. As I said, every operation, every operation that it is done, every operation, every read operation that is done on the database, it is being cached in the memcache servers. So memcache servers are the servers that are used for caching the operations, the results of the operations on the database. Read operations, okay? The read operation. So memcache servers are for caching the, the results of the read operations on the database. They cache results. They save the results in the memory, and then if another user enters our site and wants to read some information about on the database, first we check the cache. If information is in the cache memory, we we show the data from the cache. So we don't read it from the database. As I said, in the memcache server, the data is in the RAM. But in the database, the data is on the hard disk. So the memcache server is very faster. Okay? Do you understand? Yes, database is in hard disk. But the memcache server, the results of the operations, the read operations are cached in the memory, in the RAM memory. If another user wants to see the information, the data, first we check the cache. If the data is in the cache, we show the data from the cache very fast. But if it is not in the cache, we read the data from the database. Yes. I said that a user enters our site. It does some search on our site. He wants to buy a laptop. It does some search in our site. These searches are read operations. The result of these operations, they are saved in the cache memory, in the memcache servers. Now, if another user comes, if after that, if another user comes and it does the same operations on the database, then we show him the data from the cache. Instead of reading the data from the database, we show it from the cache. Okay? You understand? Yes, the speed of the process is faster. So this is the cache. Memcache. Memcache servers are caching the results of the operations in the memory, and use that instead of accessing the database. Now, the next technology is replication. Okay, what is replication? Before I talk about replication, you see that in this figure we have two types of lines. Some of the lines are continuous. Read-only traffic. Okay, means that this is a read-only traffic. It is just doing read operations. Okay, as you see, this memcache server The memcache server is only for read operation. Okay, most of the operations that are done in the system, they are read operations. Most of the operations that are done on the database, they are read operations. So the memcache server is good for read operations. Okay, the next technology is replication. Replication. Okay, in replication, we are having some copies of the database. For example, here, this is the database. I have two copies, one, two, one, two. I have two copies of the database. And what does these copies do for me if if someone if if a user wants database for doing read operations? Okay, you see it, these are read operations. If a user accesses the database for read operations, these read operations could be done by these copies with no problem. The read operations could be done from these copies, from these copy servers. So replication is another technology. In replications, we have multiple copies of the database, and the user could access these copies for reading the data. Again, replication could be used for read operations. Replication could be used for read operations. Do you understand? Yes. This copy. What is the benefit of this copy? This copy is used for having faster speed of read operation. Okay, if you don't have these copies, all of the read operations are done in main server. But with these copies, the read operations could be distributed could be distributed. Okay, we don't read operate on the copies. It should be and we make it is data.